Welcome back, Keulers. Tonight, we dive into a massive night of Champions League football as Barcelona survive a huge scare to beat Eintracht Frankfurt 2-1, thanks to an unlikely hero, Jules Koundé. Hansi Flick's men fell behind for the fifth game in a row, struggled to break down a deep defensive block, and looked lost in attack, until Marcus Rashford stepped on the pitch and completely changed everything. We break down Flick's reactions to the win and Lamine Yamal's frustration. How Rashford became the difference maker Barcelona desperately needed. Why Barca can still dream of a top 8 Champions League finish. Full player ratings and tactical takeaways. And what this means for the upcoming games versus Osasuna, Guadalajara and Villarreal. Smash that like button, because tonight's win was chaotic, dramatic, and absolutely vital for Barcelona's season. Barcelona manager Hansi Flick was in a positive mood after his team's 2-1 victory over Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League on Tuesday night. Even though Frankfurt have conceded more goals than any Bundesliga side this season, Barcelona still found it difficult to break through their tight defensive setup. Flick said after the match that he was pleased with the overall performance, especially since the win was secured thanks to an unexpected brace from Jules Koundé. The German coach highlighted the importance of the 3 points and acknowledged how challenging it was to break down such a deep and disciplined defensive block. 3 very important points. We're coming back. A very difficult match, they defended very deep, but we were in control and created chances, he told MD. In the second half we tweaked a few things and Marcus was important in providing width and stretching the lines. We scored 2 goals from set pieces, but that's also part of the game. Flick responds to Lamine Yamal frustration. Brought off in the 89th minute, Lamine Yamal looked rather unhappy with Flick's decision to hook him. While in the past, Flick has criticized Lamine Yamal for showing a little too much attitude, this time he took it in good humor. He was a little disappointed. Next time he sits on the bench, laughing. It's not a problem for me. No, it's Lamine. He's like this. He gets a yellow card, I think also in 5 minutes to go we have to make the change. So it's why. And I understand totally because everyone wants to stay on the pitch. He thinks also he can play 90 minutes or 100 minutes. He's young. It's okay. I think also it's good attitude. For me, I have no problem with that. I totally can understand because I was also a player, maybe I didn't show it like Lamine but he's also another player on another level so I totally accept it. Not a problem. Barcelona fall behind for 5th straight game. Meanwhile it was a 5th game in a row that Barcelona had conceded first, coming back to win 4 of those games. Often those goals have come early too. Flick was asked for his perspective on the why and what it means. It's 4 straight victories. It's not an easy question to answer because on one side I'm really happy that we came back and we come back always in these games. It shows a lot about our mentality, about our attitude, how competitive we are. We never give up and this is really good. But of course we're also good when we start the game and we're directly there. Maybe score the first 1 or 2 goals so maybe it's also for everyone here in a better situation but it's like it is. And how I said before, I really appreciate a lot what I see also today because it was not easy. Eintracht really played fantastic in the defense. They give us no space. It was not easy to create chances and I think we had some but they defend really good. Barcelona host Osasuna at Camp Nou on Saturday evening, before traveling to Guadalajara in the Copa del Rey next week, and closing out the year away at Villarreal. Flick seemed keen to emphasize the importance of the victory, with no real margin for error in Europe if they want to qualify in the top 8. Marcus Rashford proved once again that he can be the game-changer Barcelona desperately need. In the match against Eintracht Frankfurt, the English forward cracked a problem that has frustrated Barca for years, breaking down a team that sits deep and defends with 10 men behind the ball. Nobody knows yet whether Rashford will stay at Barcelona permanently, but what's obvious is this. His profile is something the team currently lacks. Barcelona usually rely on their classic style. Dominate possession, move the ball around and wait for the opening to appear. But sometimes that patience isn't enough. Sometimes you need someone who's willing to force the issue. Rashford came on at halftime and immediately changed the rhythm. He brought urgency, directness and danger. Instead of endlessly recycling possession, he pushed the game forward, took risks and looked for the killer ball. To be fair, the millimeter-perfect cross that he played into Jules Koundé to tie the game is a pass that probably no one else on the roster can make. Being from England helps in this regard. Those aerial balls are an extra weapon in the toolkit that Barcelona usually doesn't have. It's not that they're opposed to making that play, but the success rate just isn't that high. Lamine Yamal can play in a cross but his technique is very different. More finesse, less power, which wasn't what this game called for. From the left flank, however, Barcelona have been relying on whatever Alejandro Balde can give them. He does a good job on the dribble, but his final pass leaves much to be desired. Enter Rashford, who came in and injected the team with a sense of urgency. They were down a goal, and the possession game wasn't going to jumpstart the comeback. In this game, they needed a win to make up for poor performances against PSG, Club Brugge, and Chelsea. Shortly after the equalizer, Lamine Yamal did his best Rashford impression, and found Koundé through the air in the same spot. Barcelona never looked back. With the win, Barcelona are back on track. Will they finish in the top 8 of the Champions League table? Maybe not, but they have a chance with their two easiest opponents coming up in Slavia Prague and Copenhagen. If Barcelona is to have a chance to make a deep run in the competition, they will have to be better. Not so much in terms of dominating games, after all, they did that against Eintracht Frankfurt with 76% possession and still struggled to come out on top. Rather, they will need to be more pragmatic. Hansi Flick, all eyes are on you there. It's good to know though that even when Barcelona aren't at their best, they have different options off the bench that they can turn to. With the return of Rafinha, it looks like Rashford's minutes will go down, but he still has a chance to make a big impact. Flick will be giving Rashford a big hug after this game. He was the man of the hour. Without him, Barcelona were on a road to nowhere on a big Champions League night. If he wants to stay at Barcelona for the long term, Rashford will need to see himself as a protagonist. His reputation will allow for nothing less. Being the hero at the Camp Nou must feel good. Rashford has it in him to produce more of those moments. Koundé 8.5, Pedri 8.0, Barcelona 2-1 Eintracht Frankfurt. Player ratings. A poor first-half performance from FC Barcelona led to a much better display in the second half, and that is the only reason they got all 3 points. This could have been bad for the Catalan Giants, but wins like this one are needed at times. With a 2-1 scoreline, La Blaugrana managed to win thanks to a brace from Jules Koundé. However, a lot of players left a lot to be desired in terms of their performances, and Hansi Flick may want to address that at some point. Here are the player ratings for the Barcelona players. Player ratings. Joan Garcia, 8.0. Beyond just his saves, Joan Garcia was crucial in collecting the ball early to ensure that he could take off the pressure that Eintracht Frankfurt was trying to put. His passing was solid as well. Jules Koundé, 8.5. While his overall game was decent, Jules Koundé popped up in 2 crucial moments for Barca that changed the outcome of this game. Both of his goals were very well taken, and they were instrumental in making sure his team got all 3 points. Pau Cubarsí, 8.0. Sharp with his passes and always attentive to the movement of the opposition forwards, Pau Cubarsí had a decent outing. In terms of his passing, however, he was a step above the rest. Gerard Martin, 7.5. Solid outing from the Spanish defender, and he did his job relatively well. However, could have done better to avoid some unnecessary fouls here and there. Alejandro Balde, 8.0. Extremely diligent and worked hard on the left flank to help the team out. Both in terms of his offensive runs and his willingness to track back, Alejandro Balde put in quite the shift for Barca. Eric Garcia, 7.0. Added some toughness in midfield and managed to win some duels that were crucial. Still, could do better in terms of his technical presence considering how essential that is for any player in Barca's midfield. Pedri, 8.0. Solid game from the Spaniard, who dictated play well for Barcelona. Not at his scintillating best, but still a step above the rest in terms of his sharpness and ability to pick out passes. Lamine Yamal, 8.0. Not the best of games from Lamine Yamal, and certainly not a vintage performance in any way. However, delivered a crucial assist when it mattered, and it ended up giving Barca the second goal they desperately needed. Fermin Lopez, 5.5. A bit underwhelming today and should have done better with some opportunities. Ended up being the first change of the night for Barca, and it seems Hansi Flick thought he might have been the first change that his team needed. Rafinha, 7.0. Added some great pressure, but his efficiency in terms of both his passing and shooting should have been much better during this game. Robert Lewandowski, 6.0. Decent with his passes at times, but was unable to do much in terms of being a goal-scoring threat during this game. Substitutes. Marcus Rashford, 7.5. Made an instant impact, and delivered a brilliant assist for Jules Koundé's first goal. However, he needs to do more in terms of the pressure he applies late in the game. Frenkie de Jong, 7.0. Looked rejuvenated, and it was clear to see the freshness with which he played this game. Good to see. Ferran Torres, 7.0. Played a part in some clever link-ups with the rest of his teammates, and thwarted the opposition goal on a few occasions. Andreas Christensen, not applicable. Not enough time or influence on the game to warrant a rating. Rooney Bargi, not applicable. Not enough time or influence on the game to warrant a rating. And that's it for today's breakdown. Barcelona get 3 priceless points, stay alive in the Champions League race, and once again show their fighting spirit, even if they make life harder than it needs to be. Hansi Flick still has a lot to fix. Slow starts, defensive lapses, dependence on individual brilliance. But with players like Koundé stepping up, Pedri controlling, and Rashford delivering game-changing moments, Barca proved they still have weapons to turn games around. Up next, Osasuna at Camp Nou, then the Copa del Rey trip to Guadalajara, before closing out the year away to Villarreal, a massive test for Flick's project. If you enjoyed the analysis, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss breaking Barcelona news, transfers, and match reactions.